G'day there guys, goes literally weeks without putting pants on here. It's your man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole. Now if you love today's episode, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie and enjoy today's bloody good content. Posted by user Lunatoons291. Titled, Am I the A-hole for taking things too far when faced with mansplaining? I and my boyfriend were having a discussion about various current events, and he mentioned that all kids who get into acting or the entertainment industry end up on drugs or screwed up from the experience. I worked pre-pandemic at a children's talent agency, where I would interview kids who wanted to be in the industry and continued working with them and their families if they started booking work. While I won't deny that many of the Hollywood kids end up with issues, that is far from the reality of most child talent. The majority of work is in commercials and advertisements and background work, which are relatively harmless. I've had kids who went on to be in commercials for big-name products and lines like Nike, JCPenney, etc. All of those kids are very excited and happy about the opportunity, and the additional income often helps their families a lot. I do want to add that I have more experience outside of this, including with adults who worked as child actors in their youth, but character limits. So I brought this up to him, as he knows my experience. I explained to him how the creative outlet was oftentimes the brightest spot in these kids' lives, and how many of them do small commercial work or theatre productions, and they are very happy experiences for the kids. But he wouldn't have it. He kept doubling down, throwing out wild assertions. He literally claimed 90% of all child actors become drug addicts, like, show me the stats, bro? He claimed most child actors went to Hollywood and were messed up there. He kept going on and on. Eventually, in frustration, I told him he was mansplaining an industry that he knew nothing about to someone who had interviewed hundreds of kids and their families and worked with them in the industry. Nothing I said made any difference. So I decided to try and show him through comparisons. I brought up how sports teams often brought in a lot of money to school, so kids were often worked hard and pressured to succeed in sports. There were also many injuries, and many sports players went on to commit acts of domestic violence. Should we shut down sports? Politicians do some horrible things. Should we shut down debate club? Scientists have done some terrible experiments. No more science Olympiad because that's bad for kids? He ended up standing up and saying, "You were being a dick, so I'm just gonna go home." To which I replied, "Well, I sincerely hope this doesn't make you think all girls are dicks." He obviously thinks I was being a huge a-hole, but I was so aggravated by the mansplaining and how little he seemed to value my lived experience, I felt like this was my only option, besides just saying that I was wrong to make him feel better. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, 4 hours since he left my apartment, and he has not texted me or sent any follow-up. He mad. No, I don't think you're the a-hole for this one. You made actual comparisons and gave actual evidence, and you also put it in a way that I don't think you were being a dick about it. You gave genuine examples that obviously made him question himself, and he didn't have a rebuttal to this. He didn't have any way to, continue the conversation besides shut it down and not continue the conversation. He could have chosen many different ways to respond, some a-hole-ish, some not a-hole-ish, and unfortunately, one of the choices was this one, and he's a dick for doing so, because it just seems childish and he doesn't want to actually talk with you. Not the a-hole. Vominatrix says, not the a-hole. He was making crap up about an industry that you were personally familiar with, and then wouldn't accept that he was wrong. That's mansplaining if I've ever heard it. You weren't being a dick. You were being right, and he didn't want to admit he had no idea what the F he was talking about. That's what I thought, but he has me questioning if I was taking things too far, or if I should have just stopped and agreed to disagree. I just didn't feel like I could agree to disagree, when I knew he was wrong. Arguments like that are so unsatisfying. I hate when people stick to their guns when all their guns do is misfire. Right? He even admitted at one point he was just talking out of his ass and was like, but isn't that what everyone does? I'm like, no. If you don't know what you're talking about, then say nothing, lol. Not the a-hole. He doesn't respect you, and he's too full of his own ego to admit when he's wrong. Both bad signs, and both things that tend to lead to a-hole behavior. This makes me sad because I really did think he respected me a lot. He doesn't think you understand the industry you work in. That shows a lack of respect. You might want to consider if you assumes he knows better than you about other issues too. Hate to say it, but yeah, he really doesn't respect your opinion at all. So for reference, there have been many times I've talked out my ass when arguing with my girlfriend, and when she asks for examples or stats, I almost immediately shut up and apologize because I'll realize she's right. It's so easy to say something with 100% certainty because it feels right, but it's important to listen to people and respect their opinion and be willing to admit when you're wrong. And it sounds like this dude can't handle the idea that his girlfriend knows more about a hyper-specific subject than him, and he's not even listening to someone with first-hand experience. So, try to stick to your guns and have a talk with him about your feelings towards the argument. Make sure he knows it's not about the argument itself, but about how easily he can disregard your opinion when he says that he respects you and what you have to say. If he really does respect you, he'll listen and be willing to grow. But yeah, that's too real for Reddit, so I don't know. This is a massive red flag and dump his ass. Updates. As will probably come to no surprise to most of you who participated in the thread, I broke up with him. As I still hadn't heard from him that night, I sent him a message letting him know that I didn't think we were compatible, and that some of the tactics he had been using in arguments were very hurtful and disrespectful. He took it well at first, but when I sent him the Reddit post, he denounced it and basically said, "You expect me to take what a bunch of people on the internet say seriously?" He tried to call me manipulative and controlling, but after being asked to provide examples, his argument had about as much weight as the one in the original post. He gave no evidence and then said, "I'm not going to argue with you about this." To which I replied, "Right, because you're wrong." He told me no one likes anyone who's always right, and I think that was really the problem all along. The thing is, if you don't speak on things without having knowledge about them, then you'll be the one who's always right. Funny how that works. There was some drama over returning possessions. His mum apparently asked him to get back a baking pan that was her mother's that they had given me 6 months ago when I moved. It was currently full of cookies, and I told my ex that the return policy had expired. Edit to add, this pan was given to me in a housewarming gift for my new place, y'all. It wasn't some sentimental pan of great value. I'm pretty sure asking for gifts back after a breakup is tacky, and y'all know it. I also lent him a 1TB PS4, but got a 500GB one back. But we don't need to talk about that. But the breakup has really made me realize how immature he was. Looking at his social media posts since we've broken up, I honestly feel a little ashamed for justifying the immaturity before. I guess when you get wrapped up in the other aspects of a person, some of their most glaring faults aren't all that noticeable. Anyways, this isn't all that dramatic of an update. I don't feel very heartbroken, and I feel as though the last couple of months of the relationship were me coming to terms with it eventually ending anyway. Next man I date will be one who is respectful, kind, doesn't always assume he knows better, and perhaps a little bit older than me. I just want to add in a little footnote here. I don't think my ex is an awful, horrible person. Obviously, the context of my last couple posts have been within the context of some of his not-so-great qualities, but I don't hate him or think he's beyond redemption. I just think that he has some work to do, as we all do, myself included. Just wanted to throw this in here. Fragile Mongolia X says, "Oh goodness, I missed your original post and man it was a doozy. So glad you can move on to someone better." Also, what I find is suspicious that all of a sudden a baking pan belongs to his grandma, but there was no mention of that when it was gifted. Usually, heirloom gifts come with the story, and since when is a baking pan an heirloom to begin with? A Dutch oven, a pie plate, silverware, anything cast iron, etc., sure, but a regular everyday baking pan? Seems weird to me, as someone who worked with kitchenwares for nearly a decade and helped people pick out lasting items they could pass on. It's just a regular baking pan. Is it a magic baking pan which makes your cookies extra tasty? If so, then I think that's actually my baking pan and I'd like it back, please. I'd keep the pan, then post a picture about how good the cookies are while they sit on the pan. Seriously, if it was an heirloom, who gives it to the person their child is dating? My own mother, I feel like I have to battle her corpse one day to get her items, lol. But congrats on the freedom. Right? And he gave it to me like 3 months after we started dating. If this was a precious heirloom pan, you'd think it would have come up then. Just his mum trying to stir the pot, methinks. Posted by user, your girl Debbie. Titled, Am I the a-hole for ruining my relationship with my mother? So I'm 18 female, and I just started my first year of college living in the dorms. My mother has had control issues with me all of my life. She never let me hang out with friends in fear that they or their fathers would hurt me. She always picked my classes and extracurriculars because she knew what was best for me. She constantly set things up for me that I didn't want, such as dance classes, piano lessons, etc., and called me a spoiled brat when I didn't want to attend them. Everything I did, I had to be perfect at, or it was a constant screaming match of, I paid so much for this, why aren't you perfect? Anyways, my mother really hasn't known much about my life. I decided not to tell her stuff because she would make fun of my choices, snoop through my room, and constantly call me an idiot if I made mistakes. There are a lot of examples I can give, and I'll be more than happy to give them in the comments. A week before college started, my mum went shopping through my room and found my birth control and an unused pregnancy test. She flipped, and I refused to divulge if I was sexually active, if I had a partner, and anything else to her. On my first week of college, I had a discussion with my mother. I told her that I didn't want to have her tracking me, since she did it so much in high school, and I was completely over it. I pay for my phone and my phone plan, so it's not like she could hold that over me. She threw a fit, and I ended up letting her track me with the deal that she only calls me once a week because whenever she and I talk, it ends up in an argument. She didn't follow this, of course, but I, being the idiot I am, left the tracker on my phone. She called me last night and I was in the shower, so I didn't see it. She flipped out and tracked my location, which said I was in the dorm. When I got back, I called her back and she started flipping out at me, yelling, "Were you effing one of the guys in your dorm?" I got pretty upset about this, but stayed calm and told her that I am removing the tracker, because at this point, she had an issue if I stayed in the dorm, and she had an issue if I was outside of the dorm unless it was for classes. I told her she just wanted a verbal punching bag, and I wasn't going to be it anymore. She flipped and started screaming about how it was for my own safety. I told her that was bullcrap, and she kept screaming until she realized I wasn't falling for it, where she then started fake crying. I hung up as I couldn't deal with it. She called me today, cold as ice, and told me that it's my fault I ruined my relationship with her and that I can stop thinking of her as a mother. So, am I the a-hole for ruining my relationship with my mother? I don't think so. I think she's imposing on your life way more than she's entitled to or she should be doing, and you're doing yourself a disservice by not nipping it in the bud sooner. I genuinely do not believe that you're ruining your relationship with your mother. She just seems salty and a little crazy about something that's not really so much of a problem, and she should know she can't be tracking you everywhere you go. That's not healthy, at least if you're not okay with that dynamic. So I'm gonna go with not the a-hole. Edits. I ended up telling my mother we would have 2-minute calls a day, and if she makes me upset, I'll hang up and won't pick up for a week. She agreed to this so far. The tracker will be put back during that week if it happens. Update: things got better for a week, then got worse. She went snooping again, read my diary, and went through my other backpack and found a condom, which was going to be used for our senior prank where we filled them with water and put them in the car of a teacher we all hated. I honestly don't think things can be mended between us. I can't cut her off because I can't pay for my college. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been allowed to work much. I'm doing the best I can, but college is freaking expensive. I'm going in for what she wants me to, so she gets to pay for it. I'm just not sure what to do. I'm financially dependent on her, and it sucks. On the bright side, I finally started getting counseling. Through the university who was giving it to me for free. I told them about the situation and they're giving me 8 sessions, and if I don't get better by then, they're going to see if I can do more. Not the a-hole. Stop answering the phone. Find a job so you can find somewhere to stay during the summer. After I left for college, I never went back. I would rather struggle. Not the a-hole. Your mother is a narcissist and will never improve. Remove her from your life as soon as you can. Not the a-hole. As others have said, this is just her way of controlling you. She is sitting by the phone waiting until you call, sobbing, begging you to forgive her. How do I know? Experience. Mine wasn't as controlling as yours, but I decided not to tell her stuff because she would make fun of my choices, snoop through my room, and constantly call me an idiot if I make mistakes. Sounds terribly familiar. I stopped worrying about what she thought long ago. I moved out as soon as I could, but still dealt with the drive-bys and phone calls about where I was, if the car wasn't in the driveway, what was I doing, etc. She was very good at emotional manipulation, which is why I know the next moves your mother will make. However, my son decided to move in with her for college. I knew it was a mistake. After years, she kicked him out for making a joke. She tried the emotional manipulation on him, and it backfired big time. He didn't buy into it and left. Now she's reaping what she's sown. He hasn't spoke to her in months. I got to stand by my kid, so I went no contact as well. She spent the first few months waiting for a call, but never got one. So she sent an apology, which still blamed him for her actions. He ignored it. Now she's trying to get me to talk with her by any means necessary, although I've only been in contact when absolutely necessary. It's been a very quiet few months. Stay the course, take the tracker off your phone, and only share as much info as you want to. You might warn the person in charge of the dorm that she's a bit unsettled by your living in the dorms, and to not let her into your room should she show up, just in case. Keep as much contact as you see fit and enjoy your life. Moving out is all part of growing up. Good luck. Update. I'm not sure how to post an update for this sub, but I think this is how you do it. Someone in the original requested an update a month ago, and I finally have something ready for you guys. My parents and I ended up going no contact. I missed 2 of my mum's phone calls and called her back 12 times in 2 days, and she didn't pick up or text me. I decided that I wasn't going to reach out anymore. My mother apparently got a new phone number without telling me, and I found out through my roommate's mother, who'd told me that my mum had sent her a new number, claiming her old phone had been shut down. My parents came by without telling me 2 days ago, and my father texted me saying that he was downstairs in the dorm. He told me he wanted me to come downstairs and say hi. I was not in the dorm, so I told him to wait 45 minutes and had my boyfriend drive me back to the dorm. By the time we got there, my parents were gone and saying that I had made them cry. They claimed they were disappointed in me and tried guilting me by saying, "You know what's best for you, I guess. We can only just advise you," etc. I ignored it and gave up. Apparently, my mother broke her toe. I found out because my father texted me saying, "Mum couldn't come up to your dorm because she broke her toe." When I asked how, he refused to answer. I feel like this is just a guilt tactic to make me feel worried about them and guilty about abandoning them. So we currently aren't talking. Counseling is going well, and my counselor agrees that not talking to them makes me seem like a happier person. My mother did text me from her new number last night saying, "This is Mum, my old number got disconnected." I just ignored it and haven't responded back yet. I found out that my mother had been asking my roommate's mum about what we've been doing and where we've been going over the weekends. So I've requested her mother to stop telling my mother about those things, or for her to ask my mum, "Why can't you ask OP?" I think things will continue like this, but I'm worried about Thanksgiving and winter breaks. I'm hoping that I'll just be staying in the dorm for them. I can use work as an excuse for it. That's all. Edit. Whoop, we're talking again because they're forcing me to. Sad face. My lady bit says, "Do yourself a favor and get a job." 1. It's an excuse to not go home, and having your own money is freeing. I'm actually a research assistant. I don't earn very much, but yes, having my own money is extremely freeing. Not the a-hole. It sounds like your parents, or at least your mum, is a narcissist. Going no contact is the very best thing you can do for your mental health. Is Dad an enabler? Yes, he is. He always supports her, even when he knows she's wrong. He's also narcissistic too, and Mum enables him when he is. It's really a perfect storm. Alright, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, I want to do a huge shout out to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You should be up on the screen now. I love you all, and I think every single one of you are amazing for supporting the channel in the way that you do. Again, thank you so much for supporting me. And again, if you did enjoy today's video, please do tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. All of your hot takes, opinions, whatever you think, really, whatever's going on in your life right now, I'd love to hear down in the comments below. Before I leave, I'd also like to announce that I'm going to start doing meme content again on the second channel. I know it's been a while, so click on the Markee head on the screen without the Australian flag behind him if you want to go see some memes. And as always, guys, have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.